Let's see what we got up in here, i.e. a safety check on a gun I'm not going to review right now. Actually, previously reviewed multiple times here in TMP. XDMs, 2 of them on the table, XDS at the top. No knife, guys, this is not a gun review, so you can relax. Some guys don't like the gun reviews, they just love the knife stuff. I get it. I have multiple personalities, I like both. These are actually staging for an upcoming video here in TMP. Maybe you can guess which one it's going to be. What video would these 3 guns roll into? That's all I'm going to say. You're going to have to figure it out. They're just, I don't know, hanging out, prepping for that upcoming video, which I was hoping to film tonight. No time. It's going to have to come in later days. So, just, I don't know, eye candy. We're going to talk about Cold Steel again, by the way. You've seen the title. I'm sure it's intrigued you. We'll get to the details. But have you ever looked at a knife, and I'm going to jump into the Cold Steel catalog again for an intro, and go, that's hokey. That's a dumb knife. When I first saw these knives, and I always level with you guys, that was my first impression on the Cold Steel Chaos series. I was like, swap meet knives is what I thought. What is a swap meet knife? It's a knife that looks impressive, that it looks like it should be a combat knife, but maybe it won't perform as such, and maybe there's all types of issues ergonomically, materially, that makes it ill-suited to that purpose. But then, and this is my point, then I would flip-flop and I'd go, well, you know, I've always liked the trench knife concept, I think, for close quarters combat. It works. It sure did in World War I. You basically have a totally enclosed area over your fist, so you can punch a dude with what are essentially brass knuckles, for lack of a better term. And then if you need to do some stabbing in the trench, it's right there too. So I'd go, you know, if it's a high quality interpretation of a trench knife, maybe it's okay. And then I'd go back to saying, nah, they're hokey, man. They're heavy. I don't like it when this has a partition in it. I've always said that. I'll still stick with that. Let's take a look at them in person. And I was just telling you my journey on these Chaos Cold Steel knives is like, here's the big old Mamma Jamma, the Kukri. This thing's heavy, by the way. It's 1 pound 14 ounces, I think. This big one, right here. And you know, you take it out of the sheath, Conceal-X sheath. We'll talk about that briefly later. And it's very similar to other Kukri designs we've talked about, especially Cold Steel. And by the way, I think I have one in the wings here. I'm just going to keep it running here in the reviewing chamber. And I'm going to get the Gurkha Kukri. Reviewed like, geez, 4 years ago now? One of my all-time favorite production Kukri knives. Very, very capable. It's come out in several versions. I think a couple different steel types. I keep it out of the sheath. Here we go. So there's a Cold Steel Gurkha Kukri, and this one is not the one I tested. I think the one I tested is coated by now. You get the picture. This one's lighter. That one, because of the metal handle, heavy. I still love the Kukri shape. I like the Wait For design. It's been well established in my reviews, both in hours and hours of testing, lots and lots of testing. They chop. They're extremely deadly, proven in combat. Kukri. But now we have the Chaos version. It's got that big old metal handle. It's kind of a spin-off on the trench knife design. And here comes another one. You guys are going to love this review, by the way. It's going to be a little bit off the wall. But whatever. I keep it real. I love Cold Steel, but something's amiss. You're going to hear about it. Sorry. That's the way it is. So here's the other one. I was just unwrapping this one. This one is unused. This is a Chaos Tanto. This one I like better, to be honest with you. So this is more true to the trench knife concept and what I was talking about. And we're talking philosophy of use right now. I mean, you can't argue that the 6061 aluminum handle, which is cast, would not protect your fingers in a strike. right? So smacking, no doubt. The Tanto blade that's inkjet bleeding on me, in case you're wondering. The Tanto blade that Cold Steel puts together, very proven as well. They have lots and lots of video proof of how it can penetrate car doors, steel hoods, stab very effectively. I still flip-flop though. One day I'd look at these and I go, pretty cool, and the other day I was like, crap. Not interested. I'm just being serious with you guys. Sometimes, here we go. We're gonna get to it right now. Sometimes though, something weird strikes me when I'm testing a blade. And I did test this. I was like, first thing I'm gonna do is confirm my thoughts that this is not a chopper. It's too weight heavy in the back. Maybe the Kukri is. I didn't really chop with this. I think the Kukri would actually be a decent chopper. It's not that thick of a blade, but it has a better weight distribution than this. So because it has a weight forward blade, blah, 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 Kukri. Enough said, right? I took these out in the desert, got on the motorcycle, took a long ride out to test this and some other stuff. And I don't know, dudes. Something weird just hit me. I was like, I don't like metal handled knives. There, I said it. I feel so much better. Now, I'm not talking about a single cast metal handle, of which, by the way, Cold Steel, just to mention one, there's lots, is putting one of those together, where it's a forged piece of steel, whatever steel you want to choose, CPM 3V, S30V, 154, a carbon steel, whatever type. I'm trying to find it here. I don't even know the name of it, but I think those are very strong knives and very capable knives. You know, well, you got the Bushman series too. That's 100% metal. I'm talking about where I have this, a shop meat handle attached to whatever blade you want to. Here's why. And this is not based on any other information other than my own prejudices and my own experiences. You get a lot of vibration that will transmit between these two pieces, especially since they're separate. I mean, there's screws in here, so that means this tang is actually attached to the blade via said Allen screws, right? I'm just suspicious of them. And so, back to the desert. This is what I started doing. And I'm just going to cut in the footage. I'm not overlaying it. And I'm going to show you my ridiculous test on this knife that on the Tanto version I just started doing. But don't ask me why. Just like, I want to test this and see if this knife is going to give me problems. Take it away. As expected, it sucks for chopping. It's a fighting knife, not a chopping knife. So first and foremost, it's not a chopper, no surprise. I knew that. What I wanted to know now is, number one, is the handle strong enough? Can it take some serious abuse? And so I did this. That's cool. It's just shale, but it's busting it. Put this piece right here. What? I was actually pretty impressed. The handle of the Chaos is tough. I was not able to break it on the rocks. Smacking rocks, splitting them. The carbon steel pommel on the Chaos held up very well. Now granted, I'm not breaking quarry rock there in my little rock test. It was like slate. But I was still smacking on rocks pretty good. And I got a little bit carried away. I just said, hey, pretty good. I really wasn't, to be honest, worried about the handle. I was worried about the blade. And that's when I got carried away. Kind of like this.
That's what I was afraid of. That's why I was doing that test. Uh-oh. Sorry, cold steel. Oopsie. Uh-oh. Granted, that was some pretty off-the-wall abuse. I give you that. Ah. But what if?
Oopsie! I broke another cold steel knife. Now, before anyone gets carried away, I just want to say the test I'm doing on this knife, it's not realistic. I'm not coming to the table here saying that it is. It was just something goofy I did. Smacking the blade on the rocks. I wanted to see if it could take the shock. Getting back to what I said about the metal handle and blade thingy. I'm suspicious of it, and it turned out my suspicions were warranted. Because as you can see, it wasn't this knife, by the way. It was that one. Oh, and by the way, before I crack it out, look at that. There's the handle. Again, the handle took the abuse. It really did. The pommel did well. You saw it wasn't holding back, right? What is what it is. I mean, this is a really strong knife, right? Oh. Oh. Well. Myrtle, we might have to look at things here. Okay, let me again reiterate, though. I'll let you see the cross-section of the breakage there. Not a realistic test. And Cold Steel, to their credit, does not market this as a survival knife, as a hard-use survival knife, as a rock-breaking knife. Okay, and it's rare I do this with a blade, and I probably am well outside the philosophy of use for this knife. However, if it's a trench warfare style knife, CQB knife, and this is me talking, this isn't Cold Steel or any claim they've made, what if? What if I'm smacking a steel plate, you know, I miss a strike, I hit an armored vehicle, is this going to happen? Maybe. Now, I wasn't happy. I got to tell you, maybe you can sense it in the video, I wasn't overly surprised either. I was like, oh, okay. Not good, but maybe this is a case for FFG, because you can see this is a hollow ground knife. This Chaos in Tanto form. A little bit less metal. And so it should be able to take shock. That's kind of its purpose in life. Maybe we lose some edge retention in the process, but we need it to be tough for the kind of test that I put this through. And as you can see, it failed. I bet you I could break this one too. Would you have to do rocks, nothing? Probably. And again, I don't want guys to get carried away and read too much into it. And probably not a realistic test. I just got carried away. I wanted to test it for myself, but it happened, and so you're going to hear about it. I think it's interesting. How do you feel now about the Chaos? Well, let's jump ahead to quality and durability. I think if you use the knives as intended, and let's go back to POU. What's their intent? Well, I mean, what are these knives about, really? Well, they're modern interpretations of the trench knife. They're for guys who want a higher quality version, not a paperweight, not, you know, a garbage quality interpretation of the trench knife that, number one, is a collectible, that it's just cool, turns them on, second, cool. That's the first purpose. Let's be honest. How about soldier knife, Netton? Do you think it'd be a great soldier knife? How about this? Hell no. Hell no. There's no way you'll see this getting listed under my best soldier knives. Not for the reason you think, and the breakage, the obvious one you're looking at. That's not the obvious reason. The reason I will say no is because of the weights. Here's my little note sheet. I mean, 1 pound 7 ounces for the Tanto, 1 pound 14 ounces for the Kukri. For a knife that you will probably never use in an attack, carrying that weight around on my LBE is foolish. It's foolishness. Instead, I would do something like this, and this will be a bracket or review. And by the way, I've already reviewed this. And you know what? I'm going to show you this one. The Outdoorsman Light in 4116 Krupp steel, also by Cold Steel. And the reason I'm showing you this particular knife is because right after this one broke, I was like, let me see if I can break a 4116 blade. And I whacked this a lot. I'm smacking it upside down, not edge down, but on the bone breaker portion here. You can see it how all dented up right there. It has been re-edged by myself since then. A very wicked edge, I might say. Ooh, I like that. And the knife passed with flying colors. Back to soldier blade. This is a soldier blade.
Safety glasses, glad they're on.
Very versatile, multiple POUs, easy to integrate. Well, it'd be easier with a decent sheath. Get one by Red Hill Sheaths and put that on. This is taped, by the way, so I can tell it apart from some other knives I'm testing. That's the only reason I have blue tape on it. Lightweight, and it's a good food knife. I can open crates with it, MREs, and if I have to stab a bad guy with it on and off, then I can do that too. And it's going to weigh a fraction of either of these knives. So back to the question, good soldier knife? No. On terms of weight. That's what I'm saying. On terms of weight. How about a fighting knife? Well, I think actually it would be excellent as a fighting knife. In certain situations. The situation would be kind of like trench warfare, where you know it's coming, that you're going to have some very close quarters battle going on right in front of your face. The weight in that situation would make sense because face-to-face confrontation is imminent. Probably a good choice. I mean, it has multiple points of attack, the Chaos does, just like the original trenches, right? We talked about the knuckle attack, the pommel attack, very deadly. You could strike soft tissue, side of a head like this. Sorry, it's just how the knife is designed. It is a soldier's weapon. Originally, this is a modern interpretation. Thrust attack, slash attack. For the Kukri version, chopping, amazing. I think it would function well. Now, you could talk to a martial arts dude who does martial bladecraft, and they will tell you all day long they don't like it for all kinds of reasons. That they can't do transitions with a partition here. That they don't like the grip. They think it's too heavy. It's too slow in hand. They don't like the balance. This is just what I think they would say. I didn't talk to OJ or anybody, but I kind of know how the guys think. And you would probably see a bunch of criticisms leveled to it in terms of that. But you cannot deny that in the hands of a layperson or a soldier, you make a swing with either of these knives or a thrust attack, especially with this one, and there's that other bladed version one as well, deadly. Deadly. Absolutely not a woods blade, though. We're talking POU still, briefly. This is the other one. So you have a dagger Chaos too, if you want. And you can see the specs on that one there. These are not woods blades. First off, they're too heavy. At least the Spear Point and the Tanto version. They don't chop. Did I mention they're too heavy? Good, because I really want to slam that home. They're too heavy. No, there's a bazillion other choices I would take in the Cold Steel lineup. SRK, Recon, Trailmaster. I mean, knives that have splitting capability, hacking capability, self-defense capability. These are mostly a mantelpiece. Gee whiz, I got me a trench knife, and in the very, very slight and off chance I might defend my life with it. There you go. End of POU. Weight, balance, and feel talked about. Blade steel 1055. I am shocked it broke. I mentioned that. Oh, you know what? I screwed up. It's not 1055. I apologize. I had that on the brain because that's what the pommel is. The steel itself is SK5. Whew, glad I cleared that up. SK5 is what this is. And maybe they should use 1055. You know? I got confused, man. I was thinking it was 1055. It's not. SK5. 1055 should not break. Very rugged. And I've had great performance with all types of knives running 1050 series tool steels. SK5, you can look it up. There's lots of comments on it. Good steel, bad steel. I've had other cold steel knives break on me that are an SK5. Keeping it real. You know, do they have stressors in the blade? I don't know. I will maintain it should not have broken. Even on the rocks, they're slate rocks. It should have taken it. Remember what I said about the metal handle thing though, and the vibration. I mean, where does the vibration go? It just goes back and forth, and it really doesn't have a place to go. There's no craton handle, and that's just me. The handles are interesting. I hate the partition though. In terms of hacking, a partition is always a bad thing because you'll batter your middle fingers. It's just not good. Is it good in a fight? I don't know. I would still not like having it, but I think they're doing it for control, so you can really lock the blade in. And it's a throwback to the original trench. The Secure X sheaths are great. I've talked about them a lot, and I like them better than the Kydex because they're lighter. They're not immediately MOLLE capable, but I wouldn't carry these knives on MOLLE gear anyhow. Competitive options, I'm not even going to go into it. You could probably find a bunch of hokey trench knives from whatever source, overseas sourcing, that will probably do the same thing. Two kinds of cool. Let's talk about first cool. That's the philosophy of use discussion we had. How capable is it in roll? As a fighter, I think in a very limited, focused application, which I think I set forth, good. I would choose a lot of other knives over this one. A lot. Dude, I got a Trailmaster right over here. Let me grab it. Speak of the devil. I'm wading, by the way, through a whole stack of blades. This is a knife I would choose all day over these. Trailmaster. That can break on you too, though. Every knife can break. There's no such thing as an unbreakable knife. I could probably break most knives if I wanted to. Would the rock test nothing fancy? That's a little off the wall. I told you that like 7 different ways. I could probably break most knives. The very high quality ones, like, I don't know, whatever manufacturer, Swamp Rat's jumping in my mind. They're tough. They're really tough. They spend a lot of time getting the stressors out. Super quality blade material. They're tougher to break. But, you know, two kinds of cool in roll. Good. Would you want to be hit with this thing? From either side. Stabbed with this one? Either side? No. Mantelpiece. Collectible. Woods blades? No. But then there's this. Sorry, Cold Steel, if I sink your sails on the chaos. Sorry. It is what it is. I can pretty much guarantee you someone's going to watch this video and they're not going to buy a chaos. They're going to, what? That broke. And if you were to ask me, would you? After watching your review, Nothing Fancy, here's my answer. Absolutely not. I would not. How's that for truth? I wouldn't do it. I would just go, nah, I'm going to look elsewhere. Get into my large knife playlist here in the project and the knife show. All kinds of options I've reviewed over the years. Really awesome ones. And occasionally, I'll add more. Speaking of the Swamp Rat. Oh, this is actually the Psycho. Check that. Now that's a tough blade right there, dudes. I would take it all day long over these. As a trench knife, too. I really would. I don't have protected knuckle here. No, I can't do strikes with it. But it ain't gonna break on me like that one did right there. No. And it hacks, chops, stabs, absorbs shock because of Santoprene handle. Nothing Fancy review. Oops, I broke another one.